Painter Crow stared at his fiancée silhouetted against the fading blaze of the sunset over the Pacific. She stood at the edge of a bluff, overlooking a stretch of sandy shore, staring out toward Rincon Point, where a few surfers still braved the day's last waves. From the beach directly below came the faint honking of harbor seals, their nesting area off-limits to tourists during the breeding season. His fiancée, Lisa Cummings, surveyed the landscape through a set of binoculars. From his vantage behind her, Painter examined her in turn. She wore a yellow bikini covered by a thin cotton wrap belted at the waist. The sheer fabric allowed him to appreciate the curve of her backside, the angle of her hip, the length of her leg. From his vantage, he came to a definitive conclusion. "I'm the luckiest man in the whole world." Lisa interrupted his reverie, pointing below. "This beach is where I conducted research for my doctoral thesis. I was testing the diving physiology of harbor seals. You should have seen the pups. So cute. I spent weeks tagging the older ones with pulse ox sensors so I could study their adaptation to deep-sea diving, the corollary to human respiration, oxygen saturation, endurance, and stamina." Painter stepped to her side and scooped an arm intimately around her waist. "You know, we could do our own research on endurance and stamina back at the hotel room." She lowered the binoculars and smiled at him, using a pinky to whisk a few wind-blown strands of blonde hair. She arched an eyebrow at him. "I think we've done plenty of that research already." "Still, you can never be too thorough." She turned into him, pressing against him. "You may be right." She kissed him lightly on the lips, lingering there for a moment, then broke loose of their embrace. "But it's late, and we do have to meet the caterer in an hour and arrange the final menu for the rehearsal dinner." He sighed heavily, watching the sun fade completely away. The wedding was in 4 days. It was going to be a small affair, officiated on a local beach, attended by their closest friends and family, with a reception afterward at the Four Seasons Biltmore in Montecito. Yet, as that fateful day grew closer, the list of details only seemed to grow longer. To escape the chaos for a few hours, the two had taken a late afternoon walk along the Carpinteria bluffs overlooking the Pacific, strolling across open meadows dotted with towering eucalyptus trees. It was such moments that also allowed Painter to learn more intimate details about Lisa's childhood, about her roots out west here. He'd already known how she had grown up in Southern California and graduated from UCLA, but to experience her in her own element, reminiscing, telling stories, simply basking under her native sun, made him love her all the more. How could he not? From her long blonde hair to the smoothest skin that bronzed with the lightest touch of the sun, she was the epitome of the Golden State. Still, only the most foolhardy would assume her looks were the extent of her assets. Behind that beauty was a mind that outshone all. Not only had she graduated top of her class from UCLA's med school, but she had also earned a Ph.D. in human physiology. With such a connection out west, they had chosen Santa Barbara as the location for their wedding. Though the two of them now made their home on the opposite coast, in Washington, D.C., a majority of Lisa's friends and family were still out here. So shifting the venue to California only made sense, especially as Painter had no real family of his own. He had been orphaned at a young age and mostly distanced from the Native American side of his family. His only blood relative was a distant niece, and she was going to school at Brigham Young in Utah. That left only a handful of guests who would need to make the cross-country trek, namely Painter's innermost circle at Sigma Force. Not that such a journey was without hardship for those few. The group's lead field commander, Grayson Pierce, had a father slipping further into the mental fog of Alzheimer's, and... "Did I tell you I heard from